Awful. Wait. I saw
How
someone
did I
parachute
die,
on
but
me.
you didn't? What the fuck?
Well, what can I say? I guess we all saw this coming. Call of Duty Modern Warfare has finally gotten its Battle Royale. Warzone, it's called. Warzone is the brand new Battle Royale for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and, well, it's interesting, to say the least. I'm pretty sure it's still in beta, so it is not complete, and these are just my thoughts and opinions on it. These will not be my final thoughts and opinions on it, for the game is most likely subject to change. How they would change it, I don't know. You know, just be forewarned, if you watch this in the future, some of the information in this video could be outdated. So, to start off my thoughts and opinions, I figure we'll start out with the good. Now, Warzone does do a lot of things good. The first thing that I think it does good is the way that the health regenerates, right? The health regeneration is something that has been familiar through all Call of Duties. Pretty much every single Call of Duty has had some kind of health regeneration in it. And it's a system that helps ground the game in the Call of Duty universe, and it helps you feel like you're actually playing a Call of Duty game. And the way that they did it in Warzone, by making it that your health regenerates over time, and with stims regenerates even faster, I think is a brilliant idea. And it really helps cement the game as Call of Duty. Warzone by far is the most Call of Duty Battle Royale that we've ever gotten out of Call of Duty. Now, I know we've only gotten 3 Battle Royales so far. We've gotten Blackout, COD Mobile, and now Warzone. But out of all of them, this one feels like the most Call of Duty. And this kind of segues into my next point, which is the focus on gunfighting in this Battle Royale. And where previous installments have focused on the looting aspect and the health system and, you know, finding the perfect weapons, with this variation, with Warzone, it has this immense focus on you being able to use what you want, right? This pretty much makes it so that you can go into any gunfight feeling like you are, you know, running your favorite loadout, just on top of the world. You can go in with perfect close range, perfect long range. You can have your entire class set up just the way you want it with the custom loadouts. For $6,000, you are able to call in a custom loadout drop, which allow you to go into your loadouts and pick any of your loadouts from the multiplayer. Now, if you only have Warzone and you don't have the multiplayer, then you are going to be starting off with just basic weapons, and your loadout isn't going to be very varied. But if you have played multiplayer, every single loadout that you've made and all of your progression carries over into Warzone, which allows you to make these crazy loadouts. By far my favorite loadout right now is the MP5 and the M4. I use my M4 as a sniper M4, and I use the MP5 for close range, and together it just makes a nasty combo. The M4 is great at longer ranges, and the MP5, especially on PC, hip firing in close range is just unbeaten. And it just feels right. Being able to have your classes from multiplayer and just bring them into Warzone just completes the entire experience, and it genuinely feels like a real Call of Duty Battle Royale. And if it weren't for some of the flaws I'm going to talk about later, this could be perfect. Another thing that makes this, you know, an incredible experience is just the straight mood and tone of it. It's very gritty, it's down to earth, it feels like you're really there. The sounds, the gunfire, the kill streaks going overhead, like everything is just, you know, hardcore. It feels gritty. Like even stuff like PUBG, which is known to be, you know, very gritty, it lacks the sense that there's actually other fights going on around you. If you ever get in a fight, you feel very centered. It's you versus the other people, and that's it. It almost feels like there's nobody else around you. And in Warzone, you hear everything. Now, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but you can hear distant kill streaks going off. You can hear, people shooting in 3 towns over. And I mean, like I said, this is a good thing and a bad thing. But for the most part, it finishes the experience by making the mood and tone just, it just pops. And especially with the flying in on the AC-130 and everything, even the little cutscene, it just rounds out the experience. The little cutscene at the end when you win, when you're getting pulled up in the helicopter, it just rounds the experience off, and it makes it feel, real. It gives you a sense of immersion that is, not found in any other battle royales really. And when the gas is closing in, the gas kind of seeps through the ring, even though it doesn't hurt you, it, fills in the area, and it gets kind of cloudy and hard to see. And it's just, it makes the experience feel so much more immersive, and it grounds you in the reality of the game, and it pulls you in, and it feels good. Like the mood of the game just feels good, and it's exaggerated even more and built upon even more with the Gulag. When you die in Modern Warfare, you're not out. You have one chance in the Gulag. When you're in the Gulag, you're put into a 1v1 situation where if you win, you are sent back into the game and you parachute down and can land on your teammates. You're essentially given another chance. This system is incredible because it allows you to put your own skills to the test. And if you are a really good player, you're pretty much guaranteed a second life. You don't have to rely on your other teammates to bring you back in. Now, if you do lose your Gulag, or if you die for a second time, you're going to be stuck outside, and your teammates do have to buy you back for $4,500. But still having that Gulag there to allow you to come back in, and even the little cutscene that plays when you go into the Gulag, it all just rounds off to make this such an immersive experience. And you can really tell that they tried to go for a very gritty feel on this. And even some of the systems that they've added in, the contract system, for instance. The contract system is such a unique way to get people to do things other than just running around looking for other people. Having those contracts there to either go secure a point, or to go hunt somebody down, or to go find different chests. Like, even though these are such small little things, it just adds to the experience, and it makes you feel like there's a greater purpose to what you're doing. It just helps round off the experience. Like I've said, if those contracts weren't there, the mid game would be pretty boring. You land, you get some guns, you get your loadout, and then you walk around in some buildings until you find somebody, you shoot them, and then that's it. Like, that's all you would have. But with these contracts, it gives you these secondary objectives to not only earn more money, to get new weapons, but it gives you an objective, something to do, which a lot of battle royale games don't have. A lot of these games, you're just thrown into this arena and they just give you weapons and tell you to fight each other. There's not something else to do. And the contracts give you this little side objective to do. And it's like, as I've said, it just rounds off the experience. And by far, one of my favorite things that they've done with this is the inventory. They've made the inventory so simplistic, and again, it just helps on their emphasis of just fighting, right? Like, they don't want you running around the map for 20 minutes looking for a gun. They don't want people going into a fight and blaming their loss on having a bad weapon. They want you to go into that fight with weapons that you want to fight with and you feel comfortable. That way you can put all of your focus into your skills. And if you lose, then that's on you. It's not on your weapons. It's not on your armor. It's on you. You lost. The inventory is very simple. You just hit down on your D-pad or if you're on PC, whatever button you have bound to your inventory, and you can click on any of the items, you can click on any of the ammo, you can either drop a stack or drop all of it. You can do that with your cash, your body armor, and all of your ammo. And that's it. That's it. You can't do it with anything else. There's no attachments, there's no different armor types. Like, it's just so simple and nice. You don't hold 50 different grenades. You don't have to worry about, you know, oh, does this weapon take 5.56 or 7.62? Like, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just pick it up and play. And even the ammo, even though there is different ammo types for different things, the ammo is generally very easy to find. There's even ammo crates littered around the map in different buildings. They're not marked on the map, but they are very easy to find. And it just helps this overall feeling of focusing on the gameplay, the gunplay, focusing on, you know, being able to just go in and shoot some people. Like that I feel like is the biggest strength of this battle royale, is that it's just damn fun to go in and start shooting some people. You don't have to worry about looting up for half an hour. You just go in, you get your loadout, and you start fighting, and it feels great. It really does. And the ping system also is amazing. The ping system, I know they've brought it in from Apex and Fortnite. I know Apex, I'm pretty sure, is the first ones that have done it. I do have some gripes with the ping system in Warzone. The way that it's very hard to get rid of your ping. You have to look directly at your ping to remove it. And the ping system is a bit wonky, especially with the button bind on console being up on the D-pad. I feel that's kind of a bad spot to have it. Although I do understand that, you know, there's not really anywhere else to put it, but the ping should be, you know, one of the main tools that you use. So I think it would be a very good idea to let us rebind stuff on console. On PC, you can set it to whatever button you want, so there's no real problem there, but on console, it's in a really bad spot, and I think that it could definitely use a different place. Now on to the bad. As I've said, I think Warzone, what it does good, it does amazing. The whole entire tone of it, the custom loadouts, the mood, just, you know, everything just adds to make this immersive, gritty experience that is, you know, in what it's trying to do, perfect. But there's just some crippling flaws that just come in and break down the entire experience. Probably the first thing is armor. The armor just feels way too strong. This is Call of Duty we're talking about. Call of Duty is notorious with fast time to kills. And especially Modern Warfare, the time to kill is insanely fast. And when you're thrown into Warzone, you start out with 2 chunks of armor. You can have 3 in total, but you start out with 2. And with this, the armor, it's just, you feel like you're shooting somebody forever and they don't die, especially when they have 3 armor. And it just leads to these situations where you go into a fight and whoever has the armor is going to come out on top. It's not really on your skill anymore as much as it is who has the most armor. And I think that just kind of takes away from the experience, because when I go into a fight, I feel like if I have some more armor, that should be something that kind of aids my skill, not something I can use as a crutch. It should be something that is, you know, like a booster, a little small second chance. You know, it saves you from a couple more bullets, not something that you can just completely lean on and rely on as, you know, if you're a terrible player, it shouldn't be something that rises you up to new levels. It should be something that can save your ass here and there, not something that can completely save your life in every single circumstance. If you don't have armor, you get melted in half a second, and if you do have armor, somebody can be shooting at you for a pretty damn long time, and you're gonna take a lot of shots before you go down. This is most apparent to me with stuff like the SOCOM rounds on the M4A1, I can pump multiple shots into somebody, and you know, in multiplayer, this is usually a 2-shot kill, but in Battle Royale, it takes well over 2 shots. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 shots just to even break through the armor, let alone down the person. And you know, in general, I just think the armor system needs to be reworked so that, you know, if you spawn in, you either have no armor or one thing of armor, and the armor in general just needs to be weakened. The armor is just way too strong. Like, it's just way too strong. And it leads to making gunfights a lot longer. It's not about who can pick off somebody, it's about who can, you know, have the most armor. And it just turns into these medding fights where you're both peeking each other, and you know, you rip off some armor of your enemy, they rip off some armor of you, you hide back behind the window, you armor plate back up, you peek back out, you both shoot each other a little bit more, step back, you armor up, and whoever runs out of armor first loses. And it leads to boring gameplay in the end game, where everybody's just hiding and whoever has the most armor wins. And it's especially annoying when you kill somebody and they don't have any armor left. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've killed somebody and, you know, our entire team has no armor, and we just killed them, and it's like, oh, thank God we killed them, let's go get some armor. You run up to them, there's no armor left. They have no armor, and you're left in the situation where even though you beat this other team, you're stuck here with no armor, and you're in a weaker spot even though you just killed another team. And so I think the armor system does need to be revised a little bit. I think it's good how they don't have like different tiers of armor, but I do think it's kind of hurting the game right now. It's making it a very passive game, and you know, it favors sitting in buildings, sitting back, and just soaking up damage. And it's just very annoying to fight another team, come out on top, and there only being like a plate or 2 of armor. Now, I do understand at buy stations around the map, there's, you know, armor bundle. It gives you 5 plates of armor for only $1,200, which, I mean, that's, or $1,500, and you know, that's a godsend. But in a final zone where there's only, you know, maybe 1 buy station, or not even a buy station in the final zone, this problem becomes even more prevalent because there's no buy stations, you can't get any more armor. When all the armor runs out, the armor's gone. There's no more armor in that final zone, and like I said, it just makes these situations where whoever has more armor ends up winning. Even though I feel like the armor is one of the weakest and worst things about this battle royale, the sound by far is the worst part. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've been snuck up on, or somebody has been right next to me and I cannot hear their footsteps. The footstep audio, I don't even know how they made it so bad. Even in multiplayer, the footstep audio isn't that bad. I don't know if it's because of the ambient noise that's going on with the gunshots and the kill streaks, but I just can't hear footsteps. Now, this problem is a little less prevalent on PC. I notice I am able to hear some footsteps on PC, but on console, it's terrible. I can't hear, you know, enemies that are 5 feet behind me or in a room above me. I can't hear them. Like, I physically can't hear them. And it's just infuriating because for someone like me, I rely on my ears more than I do my eyes. I regularly play games like Apex and Rainbow, and in those games, hearing is your best friend. Being able to hear where your enemy is without seeing them is one of your greatest strengths. And when you can't hear your enemy, it makes it very tedious to fight other people in close quarters, and it just ends up becoming this scenario where whoever sees the other person first is usually gonna win. And it just leads to these bullshit moments when you're sitting there trying to find out where the other team is, and you just end up getting shot in the back by somebody who walked up the stairs behind you. And it just really sucks, because footsteps are such a big part of spatial awareness in video games, and the lack of them in Warzone is just sucks. Continuing on with the sound problems, the overall noise of stuff just seems a little too loud, especially gunfire and kill streaks. I'm sure you've already had this experience if you've played Warzone, where you're standing there and you start hearing a kill streak, and you look up in the sky and it's on the other side of the map. Like, it is literally on the other side of the map. Now, I understand that kill streaks are, you know, they're jets flying through the air. Like, jets aren't quiet. But still, I feel like even though they're trying to make it realistic, they should try and localize the sound a little bit better instead of just broadcasting it throughout the entire map. It leads to these scenarios where you think it's right above your head, but you genuinely have no clue, and you'll look and it's on the other side of the map. And so I just feel like they should try and localize it a little bit better. Now, I do understand that usually if it doesn't show up on your screen, like the red blinking text saying like, oh, you're in danger, get the hell out of here, then usually you're not in danger, obviously. But still, I feel like there should be some tweaking on the sound of kill streaks, and especially have to tweak the gunfire. The gunfire, I don't know, it's not too loud, but the fact that I can hear other teams shooting and it sounds like they're coming from one town over, but they're actually 3 towns over, it just really throws off the spatial awareness again. Like, you hear some gunshot, say you're walking through the woods and you hear some gunshots in the town to your right. You turn to your right, you look, and the people are actually 3 miles away on top of a building in the middle of downtown, and you're at Park. It's like, I mean, that's probably an exaggeration, but still, the gunfire is not localized to where the gunshots go off. And the sound sounds like it's coming from different places than where it's actually going off. And again, it just leads you to this point where you have no idea where the enemies are. Like, you're just clueless standing there wondering where the enemies are because it sounds like they're in this town right below you when actually they're 3 miles away. And for all you know, there could be people walking up behind you, but because you can't hear footsteps, you have no clue. And it's just these small things, these small gripes that I have that just end up tearing down the entire experience. And it just ends up ruining it. At the same time, it's amazing. It also sucks because you end up dying from these stupid things that you shouldn't be dying from. And it really hurts your soul when you die because you can't hear somebody sneaking up on you. And it's such a hard feeling to convey. Yeah, it just sucks. Let's just say that. And I get that this is a beta, and I get that they're, you know, still working on it, and it's not complete yet. And the reason why they released it is because everybody was freaking out about where the hell the battle royale was. But the vehicles are atrocious. I don't know how the vehicles turned out so bad, but they turned out terribly. The way that these vehicles control is probably one of the worst I've seen in video games. These things sound horrible, they handle horrible, and just in general, they're horrible. They have like 5 billion health. You can shoot the damn things for 3 years and they won't die. They seem like they glide over the landscape without even interacting with objects. You can pretty much fit the damn things into anywhere. If the door is small enough, you can fit it inside of a building. You can literally fit Jeeps inside of buildings and drive them around. Like, it just feels like they're not real vehicles. It just feels like there's some like hover vehicles that are gliding across the landscape. And now this may be, you know, an artistic choice. This might be a functionality choice to make them less buggy maybe, but they just don't feel like vehicles. They just don't feel good. They don't feel good to drive. And it's especially noticeable when you're just driving along and you start spamming left and right. The car just seems to like float left and right. Like it doesn't act like a car does, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a big old mess. Next, I want to talk about the map. Now, I like some parts of the map. I will say that. The city areas like downtown are amazing. I love fighting in downtown. It feels great. But then you get out into the open fields and stuff like airport. I hate airport. Okay, don't get me started on airport. The lack of doors on the backside of airport where the terminal is just atrocious. Don't even get me started. When you're downstairs, there's literally no way to get into that damn airport instead of running around the entire damn thing. It is so terrible feeling to have to literally run around this entire airport just to get to your teammate who is on the other side screaming for your help, and you can't help them because there's no entrance. It just, some of the map design is reused from Spec Ops, I know. Stadium, for instance, which the Stadium is a big disappointment for me. The fact that you can't even go inside the stadium, that's just, imagine fighting throughout an entire stadium. Like, think about how cool that would be. Think about you're up on the top level of the bleachers and last zone is in the stadium and there's people down on the field and you're just picking them off with your sniper. Like, think about how damn cool that would be. And the fact that they didn't add that is just, I really hope they add it in the future, because that's just an amazing spot that so much stuff could be done with. And the fact that they haven't done anything with it is a damn shame. But yeah, overall, just some of the spots just feel off. They just don't feel good. And I think they made the map too big. I understand that, you know, map changes are probably going to happen with the way that Fortnite changes their map and Apex changes their map. You know, there's no way that they won't change their map in the future. But it just feels too big. Like, there's these giant open fields with nothing in them. They're just open fields. Some of them don't even have trees. They're just open terrain. There are some places I do like. The dam, I feel, looks amazing. There's not a lot of loot there, but it looks great. The shipping yard looks great. Downtown, it's fun as hell to play in. Military base doesn't look too bad, but it is kind of generic. Quarry looks great. Lumber looks great. Like, there's so many places that look amazing, but they just don't play amazing. I don't know if it's because of the way that they're made, if they're made for Spec Ops or something. They just, they play a little off. And that's just kind of the general feel of the entire experience for me. The entire experience just feels off. It just feels unfinished. It feels like it was rushed out the door, and, you know, they were just responding to fans who were all bitching and complaining because they wanted a battle royale and it wasn't in the game yet. And overall, it just ends up feeling short of what it could have been. And I get it, this is a beta, right? This isn't complete yet. There's still many things that they can tweak, and most of the gripes that I have are very simple fixes. The base core gameplay that's there is perfect. It feels great, but the small things that just throw it off the rails just ruin the entire experience for me right now. I don't even know if I can bring myself to play it just because of that. The fact that you're limited to 3 people too. I mean, Apex to me has this exact same problem where you're limited to only 3 people. If you want to play solo, you're either forced to play by yourself against teams of 3, or you're forced to join up with 2 other people that you don't know. If you're a duo, you're forced to have another person on your team that is a complete random, or just going by yourself. But then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And say, what if you have a 4-person squad? What if you want to play with that 4th? You're just, it feels like it should just be mandatory that you should be able to have different number of squads, anywhere from 1 to 4. It just feels like you should be able to have any number of people from 1 to 4 in your squad and be able to play with them. Now, I'm not a game developer in any sense, but it seems like it wouldn't be too hard to add in. Now, I don't know if it's because of server restraints or if it's because of map design or certain elements, but it just feels like they're missing out on a little bit there. I know so many people like playing solo, and I mean, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of solo, but I can see where they come from. But yeah, like I've said, it's just, overall, it just feels a little bit off. There's just small things that need to be tweaked and fixed around to make this a complete experience, and truly, it does feel like a beta. It does feel like there are some things that are wrong, and there are some things that need to be tweaked, but the core gameplay, the core systems and mood and tone is perfect. It feels amazing, and for those reasons, I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Those core aspects of this game just push it that extra mile, and they just send it over that barrier of being something unplayable to being something that you don't even have to play to appreciate. I can go into a game of Warzone and not even fight a single person, and I can have fun. These different things that they've just added in, and the tone of it, and just the overall atmosphere of the game is just superb. And if it weren't for these couple little things, the armor, the footsteps, the noises, the vehicles, if it weren't for those small things, this would be perfect. It would be a 5 out of 5 knockout of the park. But I think there is room to improve. But in general, I think it's headed in the right direction. And with this whole entire focusing on the actual gameplay and the gunfighting, I feel like is the right step for Battle Royale. I hate having to manage inventories and manage different rarities of weapons and armor, and feeling like you lose because you're at a disadvantage because of your gear. I just hate that feeling. The feeling of losing a gunfight because you didn't have the best armor in the game. And the fact that they're doing the custom loadout system where you can use your personalized gear right away, right as you get into that match, if you get enough money, it just makes it feel great. That's about all I have. If you have any other points that you would like to point out, good or bad points, or any criticism you have, please leave it in the comments below. Like I said, this is just a thoughts and opinions. If you have a different opinion than me, more power to you. I am by far no expert in video games. I mean, I've been playing them for over 10-11 years now, but I am not an expert in game design or game philosophy or whatever the hell you want to call it. So this is my first time doing these kinds of things. If you like it, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you would like to see more of it. And yeah, this has been Boomer. Thanks for watching.